I won't be surprised if YouTube removes this or more likely demonetizes this, but here we go. To hopefully skirt demonetization by the bots, what I will do is I will refrain from saying shit, sucker, motherfucker, and tits, which unfortunately is usually how I start my YouTube videos, but we'll have to press on. Gather round, everyone, gather round and put on your tinfoil hats because I got some crazy theories going on, but hopefully you'll indulge me. Because in my opinion, YouTube as we know it is dying if it isn't dead already. This is something that I've been thinking about for a very long time, just as I've been sitting and observing and trying to be a content creator on here, and more pieces are falling into place which are supporting what I think is going on with YouTube. Fair warning, I think a lot of people are going to think that what I'm suggesting is crazy, but let me just say that far stranger things than this have happened and are happening. What I'm speculating is that YouTube is trying to hit the reset button in a big way. Now, I know, no duh, YouTube is constantly rebranding and they have always done throughout their history. But this rebranding to me is way bigger than anything that we have seen or than that has happened before. In fact, I think that this whole conspiracy, may as well call it what it is a response to some of their previous failures because it's their most pointed and aggressive attempt to rebrand, I think, ever. Let's start with the evolution of YouTube, but focusing more on the last 7 or 8 years or so. YouTube has had several false starts with what they like to call premium content. So let's start with the first premium content initiative, also sometimes called the original channel initiative. Back in 2012, YouTube bankrolled an initiative to fund 100 original channels. They spent about $100 million and focused that money partially on channels that already existed that they wanted to include and have participate in this program, but the vast majority of these channels were startups that were essentially pitched to YouTube for the opportunity to be part of this initiative. As some of you guys know, I've spent a good deal of my career launching channels, creating content, show running on channels exactly of this type, and indeed exactly within this initiative. So I have some fairly intimate knowledge of what we'll be discussing for the next couple of minutes. Long story short, the original program initiative was a failure. While a good deal of the channels launched through that initiative do still exist, many of them are now technically dead channels, and few to none of them have had the success of more traditional YouTube channels, or more importantly, the success of YouTube channels that did not have the advantage of getting $1 million or more from YouTube. Essentially, none of these premium content channels were able to replicate the success or provide an ROI of a channel where it's just some weirdo talking to a camera in her bedroom. Just kidding, this channel's a failure too. The point is, generally speaking, people who watch YouTube videos don't respond to a product that feels like a product. Aside from Vivo channels, the top YouTube channels are the ones that have a cult of personality and who have built their entire YouTube careers off of the feeling of an actual relationship. The direct access that the viewers have to the viewed. The YouTuber is a friend in your head and one with whom you can actually interact. And I know for some of us, for me anyway, I feel like you guys are my friends for real. I mean, we cut it up in the comments and even in my DMs. In short, what has worked historically in YouTube is the one-man band, the person who films and edits and responds to comments and does it all, the whole nine, all on your own. After all, trust is earned, so when it's almost like a one-on-one thing, like me talking to you right now, that's not the same experience as some video from a company. This is also why celebrity channels don't catch on in the way that YouTube thinks they should, no matter how much they try to fudge the numbers and make it look like these channels are successful. Case in point, Nikki Tutorials has twice as many subscribers as Will Smith. Different audiences to some extent, of course, but I feel like you can still take my point. After the first original channel premium content initiative bombed, YouTube has tried yet again to be Hulu or Netflix with YouTube Red, which is now called YouTube Premium. As a kinda sorta former insider and not a current one, I'm not privy to the actual numbers and success rate of YouTube Premium, but I imagine it's not at all impressive. I suspect that the people who shell out the dough for YouTube Premium do so because they enjoy not having to sit through ads when they watch their favorite YouTubers, not because they really enjoy the whack YouTube originals that YouTube keeps trying to make a thing. working. In other words, all of YouTube's attempts to date to go Hollywood have been failures of varying degrees. There remains a generation of millennials who find overproduced, very, very polished YouTube content to be repugnant. I mean, I know for me, once the vloggers started using drone shots, I was turned off. Gen Z, on the other hand, is still malleable. They've got malleable little minds, which is why I think YouTube has set into motion a series of mechanisms to create the YouTube that they want to create and get away from their roots of being a slightly less ratchet e-bounds world. And one of those mechanisms is disincentivizing the platform for the channels and people that they cannot control. And in the broader sense, disincentivizing it for anyone who doesn't conform to what their vision of what they want YouTube to be. Surprisingly, numbers don't necessarily make you immune. When we look at someone like Philip DeFranco, who has a massive and loyal audience, I don't think he has been spared because he has been openly critical of the platform. Because there's no good reason for YouTube to be demonetizing him as much as they do, except for spite and to discourage him from continuing on the platform. They're also demonetizing content pretty much wholesale from, and I'm going to have to bleep this because that's how bad it's gotten, they're demonetizing content from or about gender people and or issues. It's so bad that there's actually a current lawsuit from a group of LGBTQ plus creators because of the obvious preferential treatment that YouTube is giving to channels that are way less advertiser friendly than the ones that they're actually demonetizing. And this persecution is trickling all the way down to much, much smaller channels. It seems that only the biggest cash cows are being protected and essentially grandfathered in during this transition because after Dramageddon made national news, the real news a couple of months ago, to the point where my mom was asking me about James Charles, I do wonder if that renewed the urgency at YouTube HQ to start installing channels and personalities that they can actually control. Evidenced by the fact that in nearly every video I've done where I have critiqued the cash cows that I alluded to a moment ago, and where I've suggested that YouTube is protecting them and giving them preferential treatment, I've been demonetized. That's right, I get demonetized, they don't. YouTube keeps their reasons for demonetization cloaked in secrecy, which is by design, of course. And again, I think it's all just part of a larger scheme to disincentivize the platform for the channels that they straight up don't want on here, and to get those channels off the platform altogether. Meanwhile, they're already phasing in, I think, what they want to be the new faces of YouTube. Because we already have some alleged YouTube plants. Emma Chamberlain. Rumors of her being a YouTube plant have circled for quite some time, and to be honest with you, it's not that crazy. In fact, it would be evolution. It would be an evolution of their original channel initiative, where they've since learned from the first couple of failures that it needs to be hyper relatable content, a hyper relatable channel for it to work. And as my girl As Told by Kenya has discussed at length, Emma Chamberlain is the epitome of the relatable white girl, despite the fact that she isn't relatable at all because she's a YouTube plant, millionaire. More recently, we have Janelle Eliana, who has 3 videos and 1.7 million subscribers. I know a lot of people are going to say that I only think that because I'm bitter or whatever, and I hope that that's true. I hope that I am just bitter and wrong and that all of her success is organic and real. Going back to Philip DeFranco, he did an interview with her on his A Conversation With series, and I watched it, and he did broach the issue of her being a so-called YouTube plant. Of course, the problem there is if you ask a plant if she's a plant, she's gonna say no, unless she's just really bad at her job. But something in the milk just ain't clean. Just looking at how vague and cryptic nearly all of her responses were to DeFranco's questions were during the interview. And even little things bumped me, like when she was saying that she was from a tiny town in NorCal, and that the main way everyone escaped from this small town was to go to university. She said it 2 or 3 times how important it was for her to go to university. I know I have NapFam worldwide, so to a lot of you that's not even going to hit your ear, but for those of us in the States, in the United States, We say college, we don't say go to university. Having said that, I do watch a ton, and I mean a lot, probably mostly BritTube, so just from watching so many British YouTubers, I too pick up a lot of phrases from across the pond without even noticing. I don't know, that university thing and a few other things during that interview, it just struck me. I'm just saying, I got my good eye on you, Janelle Eliana. Especially since it is well within reason that YouTube would essentially juke the stats for a planted channel. When I was working in that original channel premium content initiative a few years back, we were essentially gifted with 1,000 subscribers a day for the first few months of our channel launch. As far as I know, YouTube never explicitly told us they were doing this, but as someone who has also launched a channel from 0 subscribers, I'm talking about this channel, that type of momentum that early on in a channel launch is pretty much impossible without a ton of help from the algorithm gods. When it comes to creating an overnight success on YouTube, they have the technology. And more importantly, they have the interest. Cui bono, right? We can't prove that anyone or any channel is a plant. But frankly, even the speculation, the discussion that a channel might be helps them. It's still publicity. We even have this new drama channel, Spill, which is to me a very obviously corporate-run drama channel. Because first of all, how were they even able to get the name Spill without help from YouTube? That had to have been taken. Because every drama channel has some version of spilling tea. I mean, I'm sure they had to get help from YouTube just to even get that channel name. And yes, if you have a relationship with YouTube, they will do that kind of thing for you. Spill is also different in that they tend to be a lot slower with turning around their videos on whatever it is they are reporting. But that's just it. Their videos are actual reporting on nonsense, but still. They're researched and their videos are captioned, and the captions are burned into the final cut at the bottom of the screen. The fact that the captions are burned in is a red flag to me, because that's typically something that, again, in corporate environments is considered best practices for content that's actually going to run on either Facebook or Instagram. Because unlike on YouTube, those outlets have autoplay features. So as you're scrolling through your feed, the video just starts playing, and having the text there because your sound is probably off, it's best practices to try to get your attention and get you to engage with the content even though the sound is off. Spill is also hyper careful about their censorship and blur or bleep words that could come even an inch close to getting them demonetized. And last but not least, considering it's a drama channel, Spill's content is extremely well produced, and that is all tea, all shade directed at the drama channels that we're used to seeing. Spill uses an animated host, it's a cartoon host, and the voice is fully well deep in the uncanny valley. I'm not convinced that it's a human person reading those scripts at all. I'm pretty sure they've got a better version of Siri or Alexa doing that VO. Their oldest video, which is from about 10 months ago, has 560,000 views. That's their first video. Perhaps they had older content that they have since taken down, but even if not, they have 875,000 subscribers in about 10 months. And I can't even find them on Social Blade to get a better sense of their growth pace and stats. Again, something in the milk ain't clean, or I'm very stupid and I don't know how to use Social Blade. D'Angelo Wallace, who came into my suggestions feed because I had watched videos from Spill, I'm gonna link his video here because he actually put me on game to the fact that Spill is even shadier than I had realized, because Spill is just part of a bigger empire. They have 3 other channels. They have 2 other channels, Brew and Grill. Clearly they love monosyllabic names. Except on their newest channel, which is called On the Hill, which is apparently a channel for an animated series about the lives of the character hosts on their other channels. Seriously, just watch D'Angelo's video because he dissects it way better. It's making my head hurt. Point is, Brew and Spill and Grill are almost certainly shills. Again, I can't prove any of this, but they just scream corporate content. And more accurately, based on the growth rate, I wouldn't be surprised if YouTube has a stake in them. If not directly, then just by helping to get those channels promoted and to become the #1 channels in their respective areas, and by getting out the drama channels that they don't like and that they can't control, and by collecting that sweet AdSense the whole way. At the end of the day, despite the name, YouTube does not belong to you, it doesn't belong to me, and it never did. It's their tube, and they can do whatever the hell they want with the platform, including ruin it, in my opinion. So yeah, it just kind of sucks. I don't know. I just wanted to put that out there, see if any of you guys were noticing some of the things I'm noticing. I mean, I only touched on a couple of the suspicious things that I have been noticing and just kind of clocking over the past year or so. But yeah, I definitely feel like YouTube has a plan and it is already in motion. Anyway, that's going to do it. I think the writing is on the wall, and maybe it is time for me to go ahead and launch that Patreon like some of y'all keep asking me to do. I would not be surprised if YouTube attempts to delete this video or just delete my entire channel behind this. Anyway, thank you again for sticking with me to the end. I will be seeing you guys again sometime during the week, but until then, remember, never trust anyone with a Morphe code. And for that matter, never trust anyone who gets 1 million subscribers in 2 weeks. Bye-bye.
That's a nappy-headed hose there, I'm going to tell you that now.